The second half of WrestleMania 41 is now in the history books. WrestleMania 41 Sunday is over. This is going to be my review of WrestleMania 41. We're going to go over all the matches and the events that happened, a historic night. Yes, I am going to obviously talk about John Cena and Cody Rhodes because I have thoughts on that, and I'm going to talk about the show overall. So I do think that night one was a little bit better than night two overall. However, my favorite match of the weekend was probably the triple threat on night one. However, I find it very interesting that the best matches of the weekend, in my opinion, were the triple threat matches. And if you remember, a lot of folks, myself included, didn't really want them to do three ways. You know, they wanted, obviously Bianca and Rhea one-on-one, and, Roman and Punk one-on-one was rumored. But I think in this situation, the way they put those matches together, I think worked. And overall, night two was better, but I think the best match of the weekend, not including NXT, was the triple threat night one. Now, I'm going to go into all of that, so there you go. Now, we actually opened. Stephanie McMahon came out, just like last year, to welcome everybody to WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know why they do this, but it's whatever. It's the wife of the head of creative, so what can you do? WrestleMania 41 Sunday opened with the women's world title. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Bianca Belair. They all had, obviously, fancy entrances because it is WrestleMania. This match was phenomenal. This was probably my second... I think this was my second favorite match of the two matches. I felt like these girls, they had a mix of, like, they were putting together sequences that I think the Punk Seth Roman match had better psychology overall, and there was more of a story to it with Paul Heyman. However, I also feel like the women's match was probably more spectacular. Like, they were doing some crazy stuff. You know, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are incredibly athletic, and Io Sky has an incredible gas tank, man. Like, these women have unbelievable cardio, and watching this match made me realize that I do think that the business may have passed Charlotte by. It's not a personal thing, but these three women went out there and I think had the best women's match of the weekend, and probably the second best match overall. But if you thought this was your favorite match, that's okay. The finish was surprising. I was certain that Bianca would win the title because she's never lost at WrestleMania, but she didn't. In fact, but it was still great. So what happened was Bianca and Rhea Ripley went at it or whatever, and Bianca was, she was about to get hit with the riptide. She got out of it and then used her hair braid to smack her, just like how she did Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. And Bianca was about to pin Rhea Ripley, and then out of nowhere, Io Sky did a moonsault to break up the pin and covered Bianca for the win. Now, prior to that, there was a spot where it looked like Io Sky went face first into the, not the turnbuckle, but the post on the outside. And obviously it was a work, but it looked great. And they made you think that she was knocked out from that, but she was fine. So again, phenomenal match. Not expected her to win, but it just shows that Triple H really is behind her. To have her beat Rhea Ripley and Bianca, two of the most protected women in WWE. They almost never lose. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest in a street fight. First of all, Sin City street fight. First of all, I love this match. Drew came out, finally getting a big WrestleMania victory. He came out dressed like, it was actually from Doom, the new Doom game, but he looked like Rancic from Power Rangers Time Force. There's a reference. So these guys had what you would call, a basic street fight, tables, chairs, things of that nature. They didn't really use, like, WWE's not going to do like the AEW type of stuff with like syringes or, what do you call it? Like beds with nails in them. That's not really That's not really what WWE does, but they were able to take chairs, tables, and all that stuff and do some really creative stuff with it. I really, really liked this match. There was a part where McIntyre hit that DDT, the Future Shock, on Priest on the steps in the ring, and I was like, oh my God, that had to hurt both of them. These guys beat the crap out of each other, man. So the finish was Priest was doing the old school spot, the Undertaker spot, and then he gets pushed back and he goes through these two tables, the same two that the same two that Drew set up earlier, and then he's getting back in the ring and there's a chair already set up in the corner. Drew does a Claymore kick and manages to smash Priest's face into the chair. This was a brutal looking spot and got the 1, 2, 3. I mean, this was a great match. This match is, I would actually put this as maybe my third favorite match of the weekend. These guys really went all in, man. And they both looked good. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Fatal 4-Way, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, Penta, and Braun Breaker. Another barn burner phenomenal match. This match was basically put together as a showcase for Braun Breaker. Yes, Penta got offense. Yes, Finn Balor looked good. Yes, Dominic did his usual slimy heel stuff. But this match was basically telling the audience, hey, Braun Breaker's going to be a WrestleMania main eventer in the next 5 years. Like, that's a guy who I would even consider becoming world champion this year. Might be too soon, and maybe he needs a bit more seasoning, but dude, he was out here smashing these guys, very well protected. There was a spot, I mean, this was a balls to the wall. You know what? This might have been my third favorite match. This is what I'm saying, like, this WrestleMania had a lot of good matches, bro. In ring, and they were all different. I loved this 4-way. Everybody played to their strengths and covered up their weaknesses. Penta busted out his big moves near the end of the match. There was an insane Braun Breaker spear where he speared Carlito through the announce table, but it looked like he actually shattered some of the wood. It didn't just go down like normal. They were able to fix it, but holy, like, this was, I mean, whoa. So the finish, another very good finish, but I will say it was a bit too similar to the 3-way, the women's 3-way. So Dominic hit, okay, so Finn Balor hit Braun Breaker with a bunch of stuff. Sling blade, the running drop kick, went up for the double stomp, and then Dominic hit a frog splash from off the screen and pinned Balor. So he did betray him and become the IC champion as we predicted. And now they all have to chase him. So we're going to get Dominic being a slimy heel on Raw, and that's going to be fun. But I will say that, yes, the finish was similar, but I don't care. This was great. This was really, really great. So they showed Colby Covington, who got booed because, well, he's a heat magnet, but it was just funny. Randy Orton comes out. And I'm wondering who it's going to be. Is it, who's the mystery opponent going to be replacing Kevin Owens? Is it going to be Aleister Black? Is it going to be somebody from NXT? Is it going to be Rusev? Like, who's it going to be? It was TNA World Champion Joe Hendry. So this was awesome. I popped huge for Joe Hendry. This man has been in the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania within a few months and is getting a ton of shine. But I knew he was doomed here. I knew that he was doomed. However, the match, albeit short, was very well worked. Joe Hendry did get some offense in, and it wound up ending with him doing his pose, then Randy hitting the RKO out of nowhere for the 1, 2, 3. He helped lift up Joe Hendry, and they hit him with another RKO. So there's a couple things I want to say about this. First of all, this was good as far as like entertainment goes, and it was a nice surprise, but part of me in the back of my mind is thinking this kind of buries TNA a little bit. This is the TNA World Champion, and again, Randy Orton's obviously a former like 14-time world champ. You know, the guy's got a hell of a resume and a career, and he's not going to lose to Joe Hendry at this state, but it just really felt like Joe Hendry was played up more as a comedy character, which he is, instead of being the TNA world champion. So I have some mixed opinions on it, but it was a fun surprise to see Joe Hendry. I want to know when that decision was made. I'm very curious about that. And I know some folks are going to hate this decision, but hey, man, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel very mixed about it. Very, very mixed. Okay, Logan Paul, AJ Styles. I would say this was a basic match. It was longer than some of the other matches, but I don't think it really justified its time. What I mean by that is, I feel like the four-way, if you shaved off, so this match went about 18 minutes. If you shaved off like 5 minutes of this match and gave it to the four-way, I think that would have been a good idea. Went a little bit too long, but AJ and obviously Logan Paul were busting out the athletic stuff. It was fine for what it was, but I still think Logan Paul has had better matches. I think Logan Paul has had better matches with other guys at WrestleMania, and this is AJ Styles. Now, the finish was a bit weird, too. So, Logan Paul's like, one of his people of his crew, this guy Jeff, tries to get the brass knuckles, but Karrion Kross shows up and takes them away. Then Styles comes outside, and he's like, use the knucks to beat him. But AJ throws them away and punches Karrion Kross, which is very, very, very similar to what happened in the main event. So AJ throws the knuckles away, gets in the ring, goes for the phenomenal forearm. I thought Kross would turn on him. He didn't. Instead, he punches him, hits him with the pulverizer for the pinfall. This was a relatively clean win. It wasn't a complete clean win because of the Karrion Kross and Jeff thing, but it was a relatively clean win. And that was, I don't know, man, it was fine for what it was. Could have done without so much time being put into it. So then we had Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan defending the women's tag titles against Lyra Valkyria and a replacement opponent. Bayley got pulled from the match due to an injury, quote unquote, and she was replaced. And people are mad about this too because, Bayley was on such a roll last year. Jesus, going into WrestleMania, and this year, I don't know, man. I see some people getting mad at her getting replaced, but the surprise was Becky Lynch. So now we have all of the great workers back in the company. This was a pretty decent tag match. It wasn't the best. It wasn't bad. It was just very good for what it was. It didn't do too much. It didn't do too little. But it begins a new feud now because obviously this is just the beginning because Becky Lynch and Lyra won the titles. They did a bunch of stuff where Liv was avoiding Becky and what happened was eventually she got her hands on her and then hit Morgan with a manhandle slam and got the 1, 2, 3. So Lyra's a double champion. It's good to see Becky again. Overall, I enjoyed this. So Steve Austin comes out with his ATV like it's 2003. Then he crashes the ATV into the front row and apparently he may have actually hurt a fan because when Austin gets in the ring to announce the attendance of the show, 63,226, they cut back and Austin's out there with her and Nick Khan is out there. The CEO, Nick Khan, is out there talking with the fan. So either that fan's going to call a lawyer or she's going to get free tickets to WrestleMania next year and then some. Because apparently she either hurt her or he surprised her. Austin, man, he's always been good with that ATV, but I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, the main event. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Cena came out, basic Cena, not really anything different. Just walked to the ring instead. Cody had a weird entrance. There were some guys on motorcycles driving around. Then he came out with this skull that actually had like some kind of mechanism where it lifted and you see his face. And then we get to the match. So I had problems with this match, but I understood the story. So I've been talking about this for a while. The story should be that Cody Rhodes is younger, in his prime, and has now surpassed John Cena in the ring, and Cena can't win without the help of Rock or other people. Well, The Rock didn't show up. Now, normally I would be upset, and I am a bit upset, because The Rock shows up for the Elimination Chamber to set up the angle, and then we don't even see him again. And I'm just really getting sick and tired of The Rock showing up to disrupt shit, and then we don't see him again. And so I'm going to get to more. So the match. The story of the match was that Cena hit Cody with everything, and Cody still kicked out. Multiple AAs, top rope AA, STF. He hit Cody with everything, and Cody kept coming. I am going to nitpick this, though. My opinion, I feel like Cody should have had a little bit more of an advantage early on. He did have an advantage, but the story they should have kind of told us is Cody can out wrestle, because there was a lot of grappling wrestling early on. Cena trying to show everybody he can wrestle. So I would have done it to where Cody is straight up just out wrestling John Cena and almost not clowning him, but like, kind of saying, okay, like, this is the best you brought. And then Cena has to go dirty, which he did do an eye poke, and there was some of that here. But the match was very slow paced. I didn't think it was anywhere near as exciting as the Cody matches from the last 3 years, the Seth Rollins and 2 Roman Reigns matches, and definitely not the tag match with Rock and Rollins and Roman. But I understand the story they were going for, and the story makes sense. Cena can't beat Cody. I get it. I still think that Cody should have had more offense. So then out comes Travis Scott, and I'm like, okay, here we go. This is where the BS comes in. Well, prior to that, there's a ref bump. I should mention the ref bump. Travis Scott comes out. John Cena's laughing. You know what I mean? It really, at this point, is like, okay, is The Rock next? No, The Rock did not come out, even though he's responsible for this storyline. I don't understand why Dwayne couldn't fly in to do even one appearance at WrestleMania. He's the final boss. So here's what happens. I knew that this was going to be set up for Travis Scott to get his revenge. What ends up happening is they try to double team Cody right in front of the referee, by the way, which was stupid. So Cody chases Scott off the apron and then hits Cena with the crossroads. This would have finished Cena off, but then Travis Scott pulled the referee out, which I predicted would happen as I'm watching the match. So Cody calls Travis Scott into the ring. Scott goes in the ring. They go face to face. He tried to attack Cody. Cody blocked him and basically he tries to slap him and puts him in the crossroads. So then Cena, while all this is going on, because they're making Cody look like a moron, Cena has the title, and he's about to hit Cody with the title, but Cody sees it and grabs it and pulls it away from him. Now, at this point, this storyline was actually teased on SmackDown on Friday, and I discussed it with people here, and I'm telling you, I predicted this. I said, during the match, there will come a moment where Cody will have to choose between doing something heelish and winning, or doing something that's uncharacteristic and losing the match. It's kind of like what happened with AJ and the Brass Knucks, right? So Cody is having a tug of war with Cena with the title, which I thought was dumb. Cody looks at it, has this crybaby look on his face, and then Cena hits him in the balls again, hits him with the title belt, and gets the 1, 2, 3. Cena is the 17-time world champion. Now, This was the right finish. This was the right move. There was a big fireworks display. Like, this was the right decision. The match itself, though, I thought was laid out too simple. I thought the match was a massive disappointment. I thought the story they were trying to tell worked on some levels, but in other levels, it did not. I thought that the lack of The Rock being there really makes this stupid because he's kind of the firecracker in all of this. He can't even show up at the biggest show of the year, even though he was supposed to be wrestling John Cena, like, on this show originally. It's just infuriating to me. Like, Cena won, right? Cena won. They try to tell a good story, but this made Cody look dumb. Because Cody had the belt, and I get it. You don't want to be a heel, but don't fall for the fucking kick to the balls again, dude. Oh my goodness. Like, at the very least, Cody should have, like, gone for the crossroads or done something else instead. But instead, Cena saw the weakness because this was all teased on SmackDown. Cena was telling him, like, you know, I thought, he told him, like, kid, I thought that I had no chance against you, but then I saw you didn't take The Rock's offer, and that's when I knew that you, basically telling him that because he doesn't have the killer instinct, he wasn't going to win. And I agree with him. And it made Cody look dumb, and I did not like this. I did not like it. Again, I like the story. I like some of the story, and it's the right finish to have Cena win because it keeps things interesting. But the execution, I thought, was not good. This WrestleMania main event was a massive disappointment. The last time I remember a main event being this disappointing was Brock and Roman like 3 years ago, because that match was supposed to be a lot better than it was, This was a disappointment because there were so many things they could have done better and things that were left on the table. Cody looked slower than normal, like he was working slower for John Cena, and he shouldn't have to do that. They should have smoke and mirrors or do other things to really figure out ways around this instead of having Cody slow down. So, big disappointment, big letdown. I'm sorry. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. If you liked this, great. I'm glad you liked it. There are things about it that I also liked. This was a big disappointment. The match itself was not anywhere near as good as it should have been, especially for WrestleMania. So, again, the three-ways killed the weekend. They stole the show. And Roman, Seth, and, something else. The crowd was very mixed on some of this match. Like, some were actually behind Cena, and some were against Cody. But Roman, Seth, and Punk, and Bianca, Io, and Rhea Ripley stole the weekend. The triple threat matches of all stole the weekend to me. But there was a lot of good stuff on the undercard. So night 2 did end up being better than night 1. But the main event really needed to deliver. And the night 1 main event did. And the second one did not. And that's the end of story, man. It's the way it is. We'll see what they do tomorrow night on Raw. But, yeah. It could have been so much better. I'm out, man. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. See you guys real soon.